You know, it's very hard to compete with guys who have a lot of stock, right? If you're in the market for a house and you know the guy bidding on the same house you are is willing to pay cash for it, courtesy a lot of stock awards and options that he or she has gotten working at a company, you're kind of pushed out of that house. In fact, in San Francisco, a lot of folks are being pushed out of a lot of houses because they cannot compete with all of these Apple workers who are in the same hunt, but have a very, very big advantage. A lot of cash, courtesy a lot of Apple stock, which despite its fall off recently is still a cash cow for these guys. Housing analyst Jeff Taylor on how that is affecting the market. You know, you think about it, if you have the same effect with Amazon in the Seattle area and Microsoft, but it's disproportionately weighing on the market now, isn't it?
It really is, and you look in an area like you just talked about, look at San Francisco. Within 60 miles of the center of San Francisco, the average median home price is $1 million, which is it's truly unbelievable. And that's one of the areas still where it's cheaper to actually buy than it is to rent.
And a lot of people are just buying outright. At least a lot of these Apple guys use whatever cash they've accumulated through the shares of stock to buy their homes in cash. Not all, but many are. But that skews the whole market, right?
It does a little bit. Look at an area like Miami, right? 62% of all purchases are in cash. So
is
now
that
you
right?
have 62% are in cash, which is amazing. So now you come into the marketplace, like you said, unless you can move very, very quickly and you have that perfect credit, which the banks are still kind of looking for right now, it makes it very difficult. And I think that's some of the reasons we're seeing the millennials still leaning towards renting in this market, even though it's 23% cheaper in most markets for them to buy than it is to rent.
Yeah, a lot of those millennials might be of a different persuasion if they worked at, I guess, at Apple.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, what do you make of that in all these towns and cities that try to woo businesses, particularly high-tech concerns, in the hope that they will, you know, boost the job ranks? You better think twice about that, right? Because you might regret it. It boomerangs on the housing industry, right?
Well, you know, it's interesting, right? I mean, unfortunately, it's like the natural wherever the jobs are, where the people are going to go to right now. So you've got that millennial crowd again. I'll keep harping on them because they make up so much of that first-time homebuyer market that just has not come back. So they're in those markets. They got to rent because they don't know how long-term these jobs are going to be. You know, where they're going to be 5-6 years right now. They still have family members and friends who went through the housing crisis and had issues. So it's creates sort of a little bit of imbalance in those certain parts of the country, like San Francisco and Miami.
You know, do you think? I mean, we got some new home sales data out. Was it down 11.5%?
Yeah.
And that surprised people that it was down that much. But year over year, for the first 9 months of the year, it's still running about 17.6% more than it was for the prior 9 months. Yeah. So that bumpiness notwithstanding, the trend is still the trend, or is it? Has housing sort of hiccuped a little here?
Honestly, again, I look at housing across the country, stable at a minimum, rising very quickly in some of the areas like we were just talking about. But again, here's the issue that the home builders face right now. Cost of labor to build is going up. The areas that are most desirable, the land prices are going up. And when you're targeting those types of houses to the first-time home buyer, again, which is only 29% of the marketplace, there's a little bit of a mismatch right there, and it's making it more difficult for them to get lift. So bullish on the market across the country, but the builders got to be very specific where they go ahead and they build those homes right now to get buyers.
You touched on it real quickly, Jeff, at the outset here, but are lenders still being tough? In other words, are there still stringent requirements, appraisals, et cetera, that make it very tough for home buyers?
Yeah, so lenders are being very smart, but here's something a little counterintuitive most people aren't really talking about. I think you're going to see the lenders get a lot more loose with some of their guidelines as interest rates go up. The more juice there is to be able to make a mortgage loan, lenders are going to get back into the mortgage space, I think, more aggressively. Another stat I follow very closely is loan-to-deposit ratio. Right now, that loan-to-deposit ratio is generally in the high 90%. Right now, it's in the low 70%, which means the lenders have money on balance sheet for good, smart loans. They're just not seeing the yield they want across any asset classes, and mortgages generally are that most attractive.
All right, and to which the rich benefit and prevail. All right, Jeff, thank you very, very much. Jeff Taylor.
Thank you, Neil.